Well, I tell you, the shop is full today. It is maintenance time. It is minus 25 outside. It's time to look after our Jeeps. I don't have a lot of space in the shop right now. I'm stacking projects onto projects. So today I got some new tools I'm going to try out, some diagnostic tools, and I got a few hints and tips, especially regarding dust intrusion into the engine that you might be interested in. So stick around. It is full-on winter outside. It's minus 25 and it's time to bring Gene's Jeep into the shop to look after a few things. And I tell you, projects on top of projects, the shop's pretty full. Most important right now, I gotta get an oil change done. But I also got a new tool I want to try out. So we're gonna do that first. So the folks at Kingbolen reached out and they said, hey, we got a scan tool that you might want to try. And it never fails, the timing is always perfect. Last time we went out, Gene commented that her airbag light came on. So I've always been fortunate enough that I can borrow tools from work, and I've been thinking about getting my own scan tool, but stuff I'm used to working with is in the thousands of dollars. Now, when we travel, I always bring a small code reader with us, so it gives me an idea what's going on, but it's very limited in what it can do. It can only read codes, it can't read data, it can't turn on actuators. Having my own scan tool with us when we're traveling, I can see that being useful more than once. So first thing that impressed me about this Kingbolen scan tool is the fact that once you purchase it, and it's only a matter of a few $100s as opposed to a few $1,000s, there's no subscription. It is a one-time fee and it's yours to own forever. Taking out of the package, quite simply, all you gotta do is plug in the connector, making sure to get it on straight so we don't bend any of the pins, tighten the screws, or should I say the thumb screws, just finger tight. OBD2 connector has a protector for the pins. That'll be handy when we pack it in the toolbox. Nothing bends the pins. It is USB chargeable. It's got a USB charge cord included, and you can run it off the battery when it's not connected. But when you plug it into the vehicle, it's running off the vehicle battery as well. So this thing's always live no matter what we do. So let's give it a try. So before the internet goes off in the comments, yes, I'm like every other man on the planet. There is no way I'm reading instructions before I get started. Look, I've used scan tools my entire life, right? So I'm quite used to plug them in, hit some buttons, and get to where I'm going. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do today. So I'm just gonna plug it in and get going. So I'll get it plugged into the OBD2 port. It's charged at 90%, and I'm pretty darn sure there's a power button here somewhere. So let's get that powered up. There we go. We'll give it a second to power up and do its thing. Okay, I should have timed it, but it took about 30 seconds to power up, which is not bad at all. All right, away. So if we go, let's try to see what's under maintenance first of all. Oh, look at that. ABS bleeding, reminder resets, oil change reset, steering angle reset. Okay, all kinds of things that we can do here. Let's go into OBD2. Oh, well, really what I want to do is diagnose here. So, oh, there's a demo available, not what I'm looking for, but we're going to be choosing a vehicle like every other tool I've ever worked with. We're going to select Jeep, turn key on. Oh, I love these automatic search functions. Let's have a look. It should be able to detect the proper vehicle by reading the PCM live. There it is. Vehicle number. Yep, the number matches. Well, that was easy. All right, health report. I don't care about that. I want a system scan, but that'll go through everything, not what I'm looking for. System selection, there we go. SIR, or in this case SRS, all kinds of selections here, but read fault code is what I'm looking for. DTC information. Oh wow, this is really quick. So I got a code B1B02. Let's see if I can kick my camera off its stand here. It's just standing on the garbage can. So I got a code B1B02 for a driver airbag squib 1 circuit open. Now, I know that when we had our granddaughter in the front seat, they love being in the front seat. And by the way, never put kids in the front seat because of the airbags, right? So what we do is we pull the fuse and disable it so that it cannot deploy. And Gene forgot to push the fuse back in, so it's been without airbags in. So not something you should do is simply clear codes expecting it to heal. But right now I'm in a rush. And because we pull the fuse and stuff, I want to see if it resets. If I remember right, this is a type of code that would quite simply just reset a key on. So let's do that. Let's get out of there and we're going to go clear fault code. Are you sure? Well, I shouldn't be doing this without diagnosing it, but I'll be the one diagnosing it in the future anyway. So yes, I am sure. Clear fault code, yep, and it's done. All right, so let's go read codes again. Information, no DTC. So let's fire it up. Let's give it a cycle. All right, so code did not reset. So that's indicating an open circuit in the driver airbag deployment loop, if you will. And by the way, I'm not even looking this up, so it's just kind of guesswork right now. But it's obviously an intermittent problem because it did not reset the code. Now, if you would have brought this into a shop somewhere, well, guess what the technician would be doing? Diagnosing properly and coming up with the same conclusion, and that is that the fault is not present right now. So obviously I would go for a road test right now, try to duplicate the conditions. We were off-roading when this happened, so some bumps and some rolls, and let's see if we can duplicate that. So that would have cost me a half-hour labor at any local shop. And I don't know what it's like in your areas, but dealership labor rates are like 185 bucks an hour. So 100 bucks is what this would have cost just to get a scan to tell me that, yeah, the problem's not there right now. So this tool is coming in really, really handy. And just the sheer convenience. So it's so light and compact, we can bring that with us. We'll pack it part of our tools. And while we're traveling, if the code occurs again, I can pull over and do some diagnosing right there and then. Have a look at data. So what is available for data? Anyway, let's have a look at that. Is that what we call environmental data? Oops, I guess I need to key back on for that. Go, key back on. Environmental data. There you go, cycle the key and the code came back on. So we got a live code that we gotta diagnose here. So I gotta go dig up some information here. All right, what I would like to do is look at data. Read data stream, that's what I'm looking for. Light, ignition source, all kinds of data that we can, select. Well, that's cool. So typically scan tools show you all the data that's available. But in this case, you can just select what you want to see. So passenger, we don't get to see that loop, but here's something for fun here. So we can read some data. That's pretty, it's kind of a rudimentary basic data, but that's all right. So let's go look at the powertrain. PCM, let's see what's available there. Module information, same thing. We can't read codes, clear codes, see some data, actuation tests. We can control injectors, fuel pump relay, fan, vacuum pump, O2 sensor heaters. So we can control a lot of the outputs, which is fantastic. It's a lot better than your typical scan tools, inexpensive scan tools. That's all right. And we can misfire diagnosis. I love that. O2 monitoring. Yeah, I love this. Love this. We can read codes. And I know I got some codes here. So, and we have freeze frame data, which is a snapshot of when the code's set. It took some information that we can go back to. And if we go to DTCs, yeah, loss of communication. So a 0151, which is loss of communication with the occupant restraint controller. Well, I knew that. We had pulled the fuse. Ooh, a CAT converter code. And we also have a CAT converter code, so I'm going to have to be looking at that in the future. ABS system, let's go have a look at that one. If we got any codes. So no codes in that one, is what I expected. But if we go look at data stream, what can we look at? We can look at the brake switch status. So for example, if we just select that for the fun of it. So in ABS, if we go look at data, and if I select brake switch status, I notice I can select all. I don't want to do that. I just want to see the brake switch for now. And if I put my brake pedal, if I put my foot on the brake pedal, then I can see pressed and not pressed. A little closer here. I don't know if we can see that. Can we see that? So right now it indicates that not pressed and pressed. So that's a great way to diagnose sensors, onboard sensors, whatever systems you're working on. You can see. So let's say I've just replaced the brake pedal switch. That is a input for the ABS system, and I want to verify my repair. While I press the pedal, I see it shows it pressed, not pressed. Now, I could spend a lot of time just going through all this information, but I mean, what's the point in a video like this, right? So the point is to review this Kingbolen scan tool from a point of view of do-it-yourselfer, or for using at home, or for us as an overlander, where we're bringing something with us that we can get ourselves out of trouble on the trail. So yeah, very nice tool. This is going to be a permanent part of our kit from going forward, that's for sure. Now, full disclosure, we didn't pay for the scan tool. It was provided at no cost for us to basically review it. Now, I've worked with scan tools previously. I've tried some like $5,000 scan tools that I could not stand. Slow, limited data, awkward to use. This is a fraction of the cost, and so far I really like it. Simple to use, clear information, satisfied enough that I can say this is a good quality tool. Hey, I'll put the Voyager Overland name or recommendation behind this tool for sure. And I look forward to using it in the future. So when they were ready to send a scan tool to me, Kingbolen asked, well, what kind of vehicles are you planning to use it with? So I gave them a range ranging from my TJ to the JK to the Chevy pickup trucks that I'm using as donors for my projects and the one I'm currently driving. And they cover all that. So if you're looking to get a scan tool, be sure you have the proper range for the vehicles you're going to be using with. No point in having a scan tool that's going to cover a Lexus or a Mercedes for me. Anyway, can you imagine my wife in a Lexus out in the middle of nowhere on the way to Ruby Falls? I'd pay $1 to see that. So I'm not exactly sure where we are in scheduling here, but a few videos back, by the time you see this, I pointed out that I was going for surgery. Well, I got some good news. It went really well. So now it's just a matter of recovering. So depending how out of sync this video is with the others, there's more information to come in the other videos. But I tell you, you have no idea how good it feels to be getting back to normal. Been along here. And when I say I did the oil change, well, truth be told, Gene did most of the heavy lifting. Doctor says I need to take it easy for at least another week. Now, I don't know if it's the same thing with the Pentastar in your Jeep, but I noticed that every time I take the oil filler cap off, that sucker's baked and stuck on and very difficult to remove. So here's something that I do every time to make sure it comes off easy the next time. Quite simply, with a little bit of fresh oil, I lubricate the O-ring at the top of the cap, because it seems to not get lubricated there when the engine is running, and that keeps the seal from drying up and sticking in the valve cover. Makes it easy. So when we travel, Jean follows usually behind me. So on dusty roads, she's in the dust, and she gets a lot of it. One thing we've struggled with is keeping the dust out of the air filters. I've been trying a couple of things. One thing I've been doing is I've been greasing the seal around the air filter to help the seal catch that fine dust. I would usually see some dust intrusion just past the seal. You could see a wisp of dust going on to the air filter housing, if you will. Kind of give me an idea that perhaps that's what's going on. So greasing has kind of stopped that. And another thing that we do is I put a sock on the snorkel. That's helped a fair bit. Now, this is by no means a solution here. Dust is still an issue, but we seem to get more life out of the air filter. And if there's less dust going into the air filter, because no matter how good the air filter is, that fine, I call it baby powder dust that we see in the Okanagan, for example, it is so fine. There's nothing you can do. It's getting in past that air filter. Because remember, the air filter has to let something through, right? It's got to let some air through, and quite often that fine dust goes with it. And that's not good for the engine. I used to use these pre-filters when I was racing on dirt tracks. It would catch the mud, the dirt, and some of the fine dust when the track would get dry, slick, and dusty. Now, it's not a cure by no means, but I've noticed that when we pull over, I just give it a shake, and there's a lot of dust falling out of it. So it's catching something. So it's making a difference. And like I said, our filters seem to be lasting a little bit longer. And this is for a medium round air filter. I forget. Look it up on Amazon. This is where I got this one. And quite simply, whenever we air down for a dirt road, Gene gets out, slips on the filter, just like that. And just before we're going to hit the pavement, take it off, give it a good shake, put it in a bag, in the glove box, ready for next time. Just like that.